This is Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. The Illinois Hunger Coalition works to diminish hunger and the societal structures that cause it. During cold weather, their work becomes even more crucial. Our guests are here to talk about their efforts and what they do for the community. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. Let's start by talking to each of you individually and what you do with the organization. Katie, welcome. You're our first guest here.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Child Nutrition Coordinator at the Illinois Hunger Coalition. So I work to increase access to school breakfast, summer meals, and after-school meals for kids. I think it's, unfortunately all too common for kids to rely on school meals for many of their meals throughout the day. And then when school is out, they really need the summer meal program to kind of fill that gap when school is out.
Well, we'll definitely get into the details of that because anytime school is out, those children may go out without a meal or without several meals, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Our second guest today, Antonio, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. So I'm Antonio Lightfoot, the community organizer with the Illinois Hunger Coalition. It's my job to speak to the community as a whole at the grassroots level, to go out and see what's the actual problems facing everyday citizens in the community.
Okay. A lot of door knocking or plastering up wires?
Door knocking, meeting people as they meet, like maybe churches, community organizations.
Okay.
A lot of faith-based things.
Okay, great. Well, welcome again.
Thank you.
Olga, our last guest here at the end, but certainly not the least. Tell us about yourself and your work at the coalition.
Well, thank you for having us today. My name is Olga Medina, and I'm the SNAP coordinator at the Illinois Hunger Coalition. I do outreach and enrollment for the SNAP program.
Okay. Well, and the SNAP program actually had cutbacks last year around this time, right?
We did.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into some of the issues surrounding that and how that's affected people. Well, this question is for all of you. How big of a problem is hunger here in Illinois and in Chicago and in this region specifically? And how do you see it in your work? Katie, let's start with you. You brought up a really good, I think, invisible problem that a lot of people don't even think about.
Well, I think 1 in 7 in Illinois lives in a food insecure household, but then when we look at children, specifically, it's down to 1 in 5. And so
that's 20%.
That's 20%. And, that means 20% of our kids are relying on either school meals or summer meals or anywhere they can find food. And I think when we look at child nutrition, we also recognize the part the programs play in helping the whole household struggling with hunger. If there's a program where kids can go and get breakfast and lunch during the summer, then that's a couple less meals mom has to worry about providing for her kids, and that might make it easier to make ends meet. And so we're really working on trying to increase participation, particularly in school breakfast and summer meals, because for every 100 that are eating school lunch, which is pretty standard thing to eat school lunch, only 45 children are eating school breakfast out of that 100, and only 12 are getting summer meals. So
the number really comes down. Tell me more about summer meals.
Summer meals are free programs. They're at a lot of community sites, so churches, parks, schools, and the basic goal is to provide a safe place for children to get meals during the summer when school is out, but a lot of them also provide activities, either physical activities or learning and enrichment activities to really keep the kids engaged during the summer and give them a chance to be around their peers and doing something active.
And what about the time during the winter break? Around Christmas time when schools let out. What happens then? Are there centers similar to those for the summer?
Yeah, so a lot of the summer meal sites will actually
Mhm.
participate in the after-school meal program.
Okay.
And so they not only serve meals they pretty much cover every time school is out, so after school and then on winter holidays. And they're able to, through federal funding, not only provide the meal again, but really give kids a safe, warm place to go during the winter break.
Okay, great. Tell me what you see out there doing the grassroots work of door knocking when the church is talking to folks about this big problem.
A lot of horror stories, Juan Carlos. Actually, what we hear a lot of is people, because jobs don't pay enough, relying on assistance from outside of the household, such as food pantries and public benefits. We know that 1 in 7 families rely on food pantries. And that
1 in
shouldn't
7.
be
That
1 in
should
7
not be.
families.
And these are a lot of folks that do have jobs, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually revolve their work schedule around the time when the food pantry is open. So if this food pantry is open on Wednesday, they will make sure they have Wednesday off because it's more valuable to stand in the food pantry line than to work a hard day's work.
Wow. You said a word, well, 2 words, horror stories. What are some of those horror stories you've heard from people, those really difficult moments where it was hard to get food, or they had to reach out, or they made sacrifices that they shouldn't have to?
Calling off work is definitely a horror story.
That's certainly one. Oh, so they're calling off. They're not necessarily just scheduling their work.
Well, some do. They do both.
Mm-hmm. That's one of them. And how does that? What about children? She mentioned children. What are those children in those communities that you're going out to see? What kind of effect is it having on them?
I guess the biggest effect it would have on the children is that it's normal, to live in some of the conditions. I know a single father who gets his kids ready for school, and then, he goes to the food pantry, saves his place in line, goes home, gets his kids ready for school, then come back to stand in line.
Wow.
By the time he gets out the line, the kid's out of school.
That's how long that entire process takes.
Yeah. Well, the biggest food pantry in Chicago serves 500 families a day.
500. Where is that located?
71st in Prairie, St. Columbanus Food Pantry.
Okay, that's 500. Wow.
500 families a week.
A week, and it's open every day.
Only on Wednesdays.
Only on Wednesdays. Okay. And food pantries, are there any that open every day of the week that people go to, or do they just that they circulate through all these food pantries, or looking to have enough to sustain themselves?
Well, most don't, but most of the soup kitchens are open every day.
So that's another area where you see great need.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Olga, again, last but not least, you work specifically with the SNAP benefits. Tell me about, last year around this time we had the cutbacks. What's going on with those benefits? I'll put that in quotes because it's actually great need, and it's not necessarily a benefit that you're getting.
The program, it's called SNAP, formerly known as the food stamp. The program, I work with doing outreach and enrollment for SNAP in city colleges and the Cook
You go to
County,
the city colleges?
and the Cook County Reporting Center, and basically, and we have a partnership with the Illinois Department of Human Services, and we have I try to enroll any student, but they have requirements. There's rules and regulations they have to go through, and they have to meet those requirements. I mean, the students for one person, it's $12.65, and
$12.65. What do you?
a month gross pay.
Gross pay.
Right. A family of one have to make.
Be at that level.
Right.
$1,265.
And for a student, they have to work at least 20 hours or be in a work study. You know, so if they don't meet that criteria, they cannot be enrolled in the program.
Even though many of these students,
We see the everyday average of student. I mean, I see homeless. I see, you know, students that live, you know, house by house every day.
what does that mean, house by house?
I mean, they stay with auntie. They stay with granny. They stay with a sister. You know, they don't have a home to go to. Yeah, and some of them come from a broken home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's really hard because they try to better themselves, and I mean, and there is this challenges that they can't, you know, they can't be part of.
Even if they make just a little bit above that,
They don't qualify. If you make a penny more, you don't qualify.
wow. And a lot of the, how many students do you meet and interact with on a weekly basis where,
Weekly basis, I interact about 500 or maybe more.
and they're all barely around that level of income per month?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious, what do you tell them what can you tell them? What hope do you offer them when they may not qualify?
You see, I mean, it varies because you can see a student that, you know, it's going to school, you know, and has a good job over. So when they come and apply, you know, they ask questions. It says, do you mean that, you know, I don't qualify because I'm working, and do I have to be working 20 hours or, you know, so what can I say? You know, these are the requirements. I can.
There's not much else you can do.
You know, we have to go. There are these requirements by the Department of DHS that we have. You know, that's the policy.
That's the policy.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio, you want to add something?
Yeah, a lot of what we do is try to advocate towards better policies. So as far as the student rule for you have to work 20 hours a week to qualify if you're a student, and most of these students will otherwise qualify if they weren't students.
Right.
So we want to change the fact that they are being punished for being students. So what we're working on in the near future will be to bring together students to see how they feel about it, because we get a lot of calls from the Hunger Hotline, students who are denied benefits, and they want to complain to us. So what me and Ms. Medina are working on are trying to get these students together to change the state definition of work training.
So tell me that, because one of the issues we want to touch on is are the societal. This is certainly something societal structure, like you said, that punishes individuals who want to better themselves.
Yes.
What else have you taken on? How else do you help people organize and push for change to help families and individuals not have to deal with hunger?
One of the things we do that's unique at the coalition is we listen to what our people say, the people who call the hotline. So we use them as a base to see what can be changed, see what's realistic, and see how are the people willing to help, because we empower our community leaders to do so. We don't go into fights by ourselves, but we recruit help from the community. We assist them in having leadership development trainings, things like that, to help them, educate them on policies and how they could change them.
Tell me more about these trainings.
Well, the trainings will be ramped up in the near future, but so far they are monthly trainings. It happens at least once a month.
Out of your center or where?
People who will give us space, because we're a nonprofit. We don't have a lot of space in our office, and it's kind of hard to get to. So we usually use a church or a center with another grassroots organization.
Okay, and during these trainings, what kind of what do you talk about? Like, this is your senator or your state senator, or what happens?
Well, we pass out legislative contact books with everybody's legislative elected officials in there, and we also educate on policies like the minimum wage policies. I'm sorry, the change in minimum wage policies, the advisory referendums. And just the laws that's stopping a lot of people from getting out of poverty.
Okay. What are some of those? Well, you mentioned specifically with the students, and I think you kind of touched on it. What are some other laws that could change that would have a beneficial impact on families, individuals, and children? Katie?
I mean, I think through our hotline, we see, we talk to over 10,000 households a year.
10,000.
And it ranges.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, and it ranges from, college students to young families to a lot of seniors. And when they don't qualify for SNAP, or when their SNAP benefit isn't enough to get them through, we try to connect them with other resources. But a lot of it is, seniors who worked all their life, or even people who, have worked and they were hit by the recession and their unemployment has run out, and they never thought they would be in the position, and now they're, like Antonio said, they're having to try to figure out, well, I can go to this pantry this day, and this month the township can help me with my rent, or maybe I can qualify for electrical assistance. So I think addressing some of the underlying issues, such as the minimum wage, or promoting the programs that are in place, like WIC and school meals, to really help keep families, get them through the little rough patch that they're in now.
Olga?
And you see that every day. Like we have a partnership with the DHS office where we educate our community organizations, where we meet once every 6 months with LOAs, which are the local office administrator of that office, and we discuss some of the problems that the community or families are confronting in a daily day, with food, and cases like they don't receive their food stamps on time, or they don't receive their medical, or it's always something that we have to go and discuss with them. I mean, we have through our hotline, we do a lot of case management, and we see families, the everyday concern is, my food stamps are not in the link card. My card, it's, I don't have my benefits today. My medical card is not active. I don't have a place to eat. I don't have anything, and the home for my kids. What do we do? And these are families. I mean, it's every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Well, what do you? Because I know there is that I think thought and not necessarily a perception, but certainly that thought and I think judgment of people in these difficult circumstances. They're just lazy. I didn't get a handout. I'll hear people say that, even though they probably did get some help along the way in some form or another. How do you feel about that type of attitude, and how would you respond to somebody that says, well, they're lazy, they just want a handout, they should get to work? Antonio?
It's completely false, because most people are in poverty for no fault of their own. We know that most jobs are just not here, and if they are, they simply don't pay enough. Well, people are forced to rely on public benefits and food pantries and soup kitchen. People don't wait in line for 5 hours because they want to.
Right.
These are families that call our hotline every single day. I mean, they want to know how can they apply. They want to know what's the best way to do it. I mean, we could do. You call our hotline. We could do the screening for SNAP, for the food stamps and the medical card through the phone. We refer families to food pantries, CETA, LIHEAP, rental assistance programs, nutritional programs, and that's the way we,
That's the way you counter and support. I just remembered. Oh well, I just thought again. What have families told you? Those who had their SNAP benefits cut back. What have they told you? I'm sure you've heard from some of them who have less money now.
people, I mean, they have to do, there is some requirements and they have some regulations that they have to go through. Some of them don't receive the notice, you know, they don't receive it on time. Some of them, you know, for the SNAP, it's mandatory to have an interview, either through the phone or face-to-face, what we call, you know, in the office. So most of them receive their notice late. Or either they do their application and, you know, because for SNAP interview, you know, the whole process should take 30 days, you know, the whole process. So some of them, you know, don't go, have their interview, put in their application, have their interview, and then they don't even get calls. So we have to deal with that. And those are families that have, you know, children, and you know, we have to. It's sometimes it'll take us 3 or 4 emails for that family to get their benefits, or you know, you have a family that could be there 2 or 3 hours waiting, you know, for a card, and it doesn't, you know, they don't get service. So it's really.
So it's a very difficult situation that, like Antonio said, people don't choose, and it's not their fault. And unfortunately, we have an organization like yours and individuals like you working on that. What did you want to say, Olga?
And I wanted to say that sometimes you receive this call, you know, families crying on the phone. I don't have nothing to feed my kid, you know, DHS haven't put my benefits in the card. What can we do, you know? I mean, and this is every day. It's not today, but this is constantly every day.
Several times a day.
So you, what can you tell a family like that? I mean, and sometimes we refer them to pantries, but pantries are not open every day.
Right.
You know, they're open like from 10 to 12. You know, they're not. Most of them. Some. Rarely, one of them is open, you know, during the evening. So, and they're open on Saturdays. But a family that call in on Monday cannot wait until Saturday,
right?
You know, to feed their family. So it's.
Katie?
A lot of them are working families too. I think there's, you know, it's a hidden problem, and so a lot of people don't realize it could be your neighbor, it could be, you know, the older neighbor down the street. That I think it's a misconception that like you can point out, oh, only this neighborhood or only certain people are experiencing hunger, but the majority of them are working 40 hours a week and are really trying to make ends meet, but there's just not enough.
There's not enough. I like yesterday I had a family whose mom was working and father wasn't, so he called the DHS helpline and they told them to call us. That we have better ways to go through DHS. I mean, they set guidelines, and we have an income table that we have to go through. So, you know,
they were just referring their work to you. Wow.
So really, what can't you tell a family like that? You know,
right, Antonio?
What Katie says is really true. Like, these families work really hard, but with 40 hours a week at minimum wage is only $17,000 a year. That doesn't even cover housing.
Right.
So that's why we're a strong component behind the increase in minimum wage.
And do you hope there? What do you think is going to happen with this fight for 15? This push for
in the city of Chicago, because the mayor countered with a $13 an hour minimum wage. I think it would at least be 13.
At least 13.
But we're still fighting for the full 15 because $13 is only 9 cents above the poverty line by 2018 when that ordinance is set to take effect.
Wow. So there isn't really, that's not really changed then.
It's not. It's sad to say it is changed because without the push from groups like us, it probably wouldn't increase at all. So we're trying to get to poverty. And it's a shame to say that in the United States of America.
Wow. Well, we are out of time. Thank you for coming today and sharing just a bit about all the problems you face out there in the community and the work you're doing to, you know, counter some of that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And to your audience, thank you for joining us. Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.